it is an experiment in the beginning, but the success is we're going to reward ourselves and say, yeah, great job. I showed up. I did this video.
Today on Simple Sense for Small Business, we talk to Sarah Fisher of Blue Lotus Films. We talk about what does success mean in your video marketing campaigns, having an identity crisis, especially if you're a solopreneur or a sole prop, and what to do about it so that you feel inspired and motivated to stay consistent. Welcome to Simple Sense for Small Business, where we talk about big and small mistakes small business owners make. I have to say, your bio is so impressive. And since 12 years old, was that the number that I'm recalling? That you picked up a Fisher Price camera or something? Tell me more.
Yeah, it's funny. I still have that video camera in my closet. It was a toy camera that came out in the 80s. And I remember seeing the commercials for it. And I just thought, they do a really great job with these commercials, like selling to kids. And I'd never seen anything like it. What it was, they literally considered it a toy because it recorded on cassette tapes. Oh. And I knew I had to have it because there were VHS cameras around at that time and even beta cameras, but they were much more expensive. And since this was considered a toy, it was only like $100 or something. So I remember begging my parents for it as a gift. I just played with it, forever, like, making little movies and just loving it.
You're like the female version of Adam Goldberg, right? Because now you're actually doing the work for small business owners, but your past career was also in video production. Tell us more about that.
Sure. I really started out my career really wanting to go on the trajectory of being in broadcast journalism and working for bigger media companies, corporate media companies. And so when I was in college, I had a great opportunity come my way to do an internship at MTV News. And that was like a dream internship. I was going to school in Richmond, Virginia, but really wanted to be in New York City because I really had my eyes on these bigger media stations. And so I got that opportunity and it was amazing. And then from there, I eventually moved to New York City and started my career at CBS News. And I really actually had more of an interest in what they call hard news, not entertainment. While I was grateful for the experience at MTV, I didn't really see myself staying there. So I did start out actually in the interactive division when they were just starting the website and the interactive division at CBS News. So that tells you it's a really long time ago. But it was really amazing because, all this technology was just unfolding with broadband internet, like, whoa. And the TV stations were embracing it. So we would repackage the news, to put it on the website and just like edit little clips together and stuff. So that's really where I started to get my feet wet. And I thought that I was actually going to continue staying at these news stations. And then after a few years, I did end up working at A&E television, which was really amazing too. And from there, I really saw, because A&E has such a strong documentary division, and I wasn't working in that division. I was working at A&E in their interactive division as well. But I got to interact with the documentary vice president and, the heads of documentary. So from there, I really just decided that my calling was really more to be independent, to not be working in corporate media. While I'm really grateful for the experience, I'm an entrepreneur at heart. And I knew that I needed to branch out on my own to make documentaries. And then from there, it actually folded into working with small businesses.
Well, that couldn't be a better segue, unplanned, but obviously we knew we were going to talk about video and small business. As someone who remembers a few years ago, 2019 to be exact, where we kind of embarked on our video marketing journey, It was a tough start. I wasn't comfortable on camera, my hair, makeup, I had to dress. Like I had all of these hangups about how I looked on camera. Are you
Mhm.
finding, is that still something that small business owners struggle with who haven't yet started on their video marketing journey?
Yeah, thank you for saying that, Linda. It is. It's something that small business owners continue to struggle with because video is unnatural. I'll be the first to admit that, even though that's where I work, that's the industry I work in. I never pretend that it's easy to be on video because I see that with my clients that we do video production with. There's always a level of nervousness, and it's a nervousness not only about, just speaking to the camera and it feels so unnatural. But it's also what I see is, nervousness about, wow, this is big. This is me like getting on a stage and sharing my voice, sharing my message. And especially small business owners, that can seem really scary. Like, oh, what if I trip up? What if I say the wrong thing? Yeah, definitely. And good for you, Linda. I've seen your videos, and you really stretched your wings, and like it seems like you pushed through the discomfort, to grow your following and to really create a consistent video presence.
Well, I appreciate that, especially coming from you. The second phase of uncertainty or nervousness I have found, again, speaking personally and professionally from our own perspective, is once you're like, you know what, no one's looking at me the way I'm looking at me on the camera. So let's just get over it. And what value can I deliver? The next phase is, all right, so wait, what am I going to talk about? Like, no one wants to hear what I have to say, or everybody knows that already, or everyone's talking about that already. And all of those, also those stigmas and hangups. But can you share, how do you get people to get more creative? I mean, I have some questions planned out, but I just kind of
Yeah.
shoot from the hip with things that I know are real because we do
Yeah.
them. Yeah. So,
No, I appreciate that because you have all this experience. You've been there, and just your own questions will help other people, I think.
well, and it's
Um,
also not a one and done endeavor, right? It's an ongoing process of
mhm.
continuing to evolve and just start somewhere and then celebrate. Because when you look back 2 years ago, when I see videos we did 4 years ago, I'm like, ooh, okay, we've come a long way. So a reason to celebrate. But how do you help people get over that? What am I going to say? And
Uh-huh.
how to plan it out?
I really think it is important for any small business owner to have done some branding on their business. So most bigger companies, they are able to hire a branding expert. They're able to really dive deep into their branding. But I do think that doing some kind of work on your branding, whether you're actually formally hiring a branding expert or you're taking a course on branding, knowing your branding is about like knowing what your value is in the marketplace. And that's something that it is going to continue to trip you up when you're doing videos if you haven't, sat down and taken like a 1 hour course or, done some research on YouTube of, how to start off with your branding. And my experience, I'm still continuing to do branding. I'm still, working on it. That continues to evolve. But at least if you've done that initial work, then you can get started with video. I feel like then there's like a little bit less fear because you already know what your messaging is. You already know, like, okay, these are the things that I offer to people that are different from other companies, your unique value proposition. And then you can come up with, like your top 3 video topics from there. Like, these are the most important topics I know people need to know about. And they ask me about this all the time, or they land on my website and, they shoot me an email. Hey, can you help me with this? You get these common questions. But if you're a small business owner who really hasn't done any kind of branding, you're going to be confuddled. You're going to be like in a place of indecisiveness of like, you're a generalist. Like,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, this is what I do, but you can't really speak to your specific audience about what you're offering.
And why you do what you do, or why you're
Yeah.
presenting that particular topic. And I love this idea about studying branding. It's its own exercise, it's its own project, essentially, right? But I also feel that if that feels like very intimidating, one of the things that I found to be super helpful as well is it doesn't always have to be super structured. You can just go off of an email of a question or a pain point that a customer presents to you that you see all the time. And then, even if it's not a 10-minute video, and even if it's not a 3-minute video, now you can
Yeah.
do a 1-minute video on an FAQ.
Yep.
And that's kind of like how it helped us stay current or stay in the practice, because you have to live through the things that you're dealing with customers.
Yeah, and I think, just some level of branding work is going to help you for not being tripped up, because I think it can be easy, for some people, maybe, just getting started with answering those common questions. I've seen this happen where people get started with video and they have a few topics they want to talk about, or a few points, a few messages they want to share. And then all of a sudden it becomes an identity crisis, like an identity crisis in your business, not having done that branding in advance. So that's why I mention it, because I mean, we've even had clients we worked with, pay us to do videos, finish the video, and then feel afraid to put it out in the world. It's very rare. Like, usually we make sure that branding is in place before we even start. But I've seen it, with people as well, just like starting to put short videos on Instagram or TikTok. And then all of a sudden it's like, whoa, wait, what am I doing? Like, how do you continue with it? And that, actually, I'd love to hear how you've continued with your consistency. I'd really be curious too, because I do think that is a very common thing, where people just all of a sudden they get stopped in their tracks because they're like, wait a second. But when you're really aligned with your branding, you just go, okay, you can even repeat the same message over and over, because that's what you have to offer, and people need to hear about it.
That's why I put this question in the banner. And for those who may be listening and not watching the video, it says, what are some of the biggest mistakes businesses make when creating videos for their brands? And so that was a planned question. And I put it up while you were talking about a mistake, and in conjunction with the fact that branding is a good place to start. Because even if you didn't have a company, but you're a person who's on video, and that's your brand. So, but if you have a business that's offering products and services, you can tie it all in with your personality and the products and services, and create a campaign. But it does take some work. And as far as your question, there are times where it feels a little bit like a lot, and there's a lull, or I'm not motivated, I don't feel creative. When that happens, sometimes I do yield to the low effort, enjoying my own life kind of videos. Like, I just posted today a bouquet of flowers that a neighbor brought. She picked those flowers from another neighbor who's a master gardener. And, or I'll post a video about a picnic we had over the weekend. And that's just kind of me presenting that I'm a person behind a business, but people need to know the Oz behind the curtain kind of thing. So, but as far as consistency, I have Trevor also, who happens to be a writer, and he's also from the financial services world. So I'm very lucky, and I don't take it for granted. And I'm very grateful every day that I do have a partner in life and business that we can kind of spitball with and brainstorm about. I've always recommended for people that get stuck, take a course like you did, when you had your video, and then you have a course available after that. You have to align with people that inspire you. And even if you're a solopreneur, especially if you're a solopreneur, I feel that that's very
Mhm.
critical. Otherwise, you're going to not do it because it's easy
Yeah.
to not do it, right? I mean, so I don't know if I answered your question, but
Yeah, I think so.
I think business owners forget that a lot of people don't know what you know.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you, Linda. Even just a fraction of what you know can help people. And that has shocked me as well as I've been building up my YouTube channel and social media presence. And we often think, especially women, I think we get this imposter syndrome and we think, oh gosh, there's so many other people out there teaching this and teaching that. Maybe you aren't an expert in what they do, but you are an expert in something that people, will look to you to find that information and not only that information, but the way that you share it, the way that you express it. So, yeah, I love that you and Trevor are doing videos together because, yeah, if you can find that person, they don't necessarily even have to be on camera, but you find that person that you can bounce ideas off of, that can help you feel motivated, help you feel inspired, or even that person who can offer constructive criticism. Like we all need a little feedback, even if it's uncomfortable every once in a while. Like even myself, I do videos for a living for other people, but it's very hard for me. Like I don't enjoy editing my own videos. I've trained myself to do it, but I do need other people to say like, oh yeah, maybe that intro is too long, like we always need feedback. And then also just to keep the motivation going. I think that's actually something that really came to the forefront of my mind recently, Linda, where I have followed some of these big creators on YouTube and you see them get to a certain level, 100,000, 500,000 followers, and all of a sudden their channel goes quiet, and
Really?
yeah, and some of them, it could be they just don't feel inspired anymore. And I think people are starting to wake up to this, that, okay, we have this technology, and yes, now we can do it all on our own. We have our smartphone. We can be our own like mobile video production studio, but I don't believe that's sustainable, because I've worked in video production and I see that it is a team sport. Yeah, it's possible to wear a million hats. And when you become like a bigger influencer, you start to become like your own business manager and your own accountant and, all these things. And it's like, we've got to think of things as not just me and the audience, but, that it is a team effort to create content and to create video content, especially.
I love that you're saying this because if I were by myself, I would struggle. One example is Trevor and I, we were doing our Simple Sense for Small Business was an audio only podcast, but we still uploaded them to YouTube. And we did our season 1. I don't even remember. It was 26 videos. And then things kind of got hectic with our business. And I also got a little bored, like how much banter can he and I have together all the time? And that's when I kind of branched out and said, I'm going to interview other people that I know impact the business owner and that I know are areas where mistakes are made. You have to change it up every now and again.
Yeah.
So you may have to invest in it, but that's
Mm-hmm.
where you have the rubber meets the road with, okay, let's plan it out. Let's strategize ROI. If I invest this, what's the goal? What do
Mm-hmm.
I want these videos to generate? And I can tell you, even though we got monetized on our other channel, that wasn't going to pay the bills.
Mm-hmm.
It was a lead gen strategy. It was a lead
Yeah.
gen, medium. I would venture to guess, and you can confirm or deny that solopreneurs, you have to collaborate in some way,
Mm-hmm.
shape, or form. Would you?
Yeah, I think it's essential because, we're just social beings. And yeah, I really do think that it is a danger of just, believing, okay, I'm self-sufficient, I can do everything. And in the beginning, I feel like that is okay. If that is what gets you started, you have access to these free tools and you get started and you just get going. But I think if you talk to most people who've, really scaled up their YouTube channel or other social media, TikTok, etc., these are people that are relying on support elsewhere, whether they are paying people or, they have that friend or partner behind the scenes who's like rooting them on. It would be interesting to have like a survey about that, have like YouTube or TubeBuddy or something do a survey. But yeah, I'm hearing more and more that, this is really common, and that's what's effective. Like, we can't reach certain levels of success unless we have a bunch of people supporting us. It's just human nature.
I know we've done a couple videos on delegating, and delegating sounds so formal versus collaborating or being supported by and aligning oneself with other strategic partners or something like that. But this question I put up here, how do you measure success when it comes to video marketing? I think this is another natural segue into, success begets success. When there is success to celebrate, it is inspiring. It's its own motivator. So what can people look for that makes them feel like what they're doing and they've taken the leap of faith that they're going to try, they're going to start? How do they know that, okay, I'm onto something, this feels like success?
That is a great question. I love it. Yeah, often we think that success in video marketing means all of a sudden our videos are going viral. And, this is always a funny question to me. Like, if I get a client or a potential client who's saying, how do I make my video go viral? And viral might mean different things to different people. You might have a different way to measure it, but usually it means, lots of eyeballs, lots of views, lots of people interacting with the video. But I would say, mostly you want to just focus on celebrating your success of consistency and of showing up, just being on camera. I say that because in the beginning, when you're just getting started with any of the social media content, it's going to take a while for the algorithm to figure out who you are and what you do, and for your right tribe to find you. So I think you have to go out there and you have to be willing to make like 30 to 50 videos. And I know people don't like to hear this, but that's where you're setting up your mindset in advance. Like, okay, this is going to feel uncomfortable. Like, maybe the first 30 videos, I only get like 20, 30 views on them. That's actually realistic. You're going to be really lucky if you start to get hundreds or thousands of views. And the other thing is, we can't measure the success in the beginning on the numbers, the amount of views, etc., because what happens is you might be making content that isn't aligned with what you want to do long term, because we're often just going to need to do some trial and error. You're going to try out like 5 to 8 topics. And number one, you're going to see, do I enjoy these topics? Like, the way I'm presenting it and the way I'm talking about it to people, do I like it? And then you're also going to see, do other people respond to it? So that's why, I think it is an experiment in the beginning. But the success is, we're going to reward ourselves and say, yeah, great job. I showed up. I did this video. And then eventually, you do want to dive into analytics. But I don't think it's good in the beginning, to get obsessed with the analytics, but eventually, yes, I'm not going to disregard analytics at all, because we need to understand, like, okay, how are our videos performing? And, like, what is the click-through rate, or how many people are engaging? Yeah, it's not even worth it to get into it in the beginning, because it's just going to trip us up.
It can be discouraging. It's like, I'm doing all this work and One of the
Mm-hmm.
things that I love about the fact that you're okay, don't get tied up too much in the analytics in the beginning. You got to first get comfortable on camera. You got to develop your brand. You have to have your topics, and then you have to kind of execute on all the functions that follow with getting a video published. When we were specializing in our disaster loan consulting, one of the things that we were doing was reacting to people's questions and comments and making videos about that. And what thus ensued was having a library of content to share when someone else comes and asks the same question. Oh, you can go to this video. So it was a cross-referencing kind of thing. Now, at that time, by the time that was happening, I mean, we had done, a couple hundred videos. I just love that you're mentioning this to not get the whole vanity metrics conundrum.
Yeah.
It's too much. It's
And it's unrealistic. Yeah.
And it's it feeds into the comparison syndrome.
Yeah. And it really can just kind of mess with our head, because it is just necessary to have, give yourself some grace and give yourself some freedom to just kind of play around, because it's not only, what you're saying on camera. Like, a lot of us, we're not trained in public speaking. I mean, it wouldn't hurt, to go take a course in public speaking or join Toastmasters or something. But the reality is, most of us are just trying to figure out, how do I, get what I know out of my mouth and talk awkwardly to this camera, this inanimate object. And then not only that, it's like, we start to see, okay, maybe I need to start to edit my videos. I need to start, add a little flair. And so the actual presentation, in other words, it's not just you talking. There's so many, it's so dynamic. It's just unrealistic to, think, oh, I'm going to get this down in 5 videos and then my video is going to go viral,
No, we've not had a video that's gone viral at all, but we made a lot of money using YouTube as a way to project our intel. We wanted business owners to know how to get the disaster financing they were entitled to as taxpayers. So one of the last questions before you sharing where people can find you is, what are some of the trends you may be seeing now? You kind of alluded to that it's easier now more than ever, but that doesn't always make it easy just because it's easy. So what are some of the trends that will help propel people into a mindset of, let's just experiment with this and not get tripped up on the analytics?
There's maybe 2 parts to it. There are certain trends happening, that a lot of people want to follow. The trend of making short videos, like entertaining kind of TikTok videos. I think, that really has taken up a lot of content space online. I didn't want to be on TikTok. That's not my format. That's not the type of videos I enjoy creating. As I said, I started out in long form documentary, and I still do enjoy long form videos. Is really my type of video I'm most passionate about. But that being said, it doesn't hurt to experiment and see, how you can use this format, the short form video, and still be true to yourself. You can still be playful, or you can just be educational, and then maybe start to add in some entertaining videos. But yeah, I think most of all, I'm not a big fan of like following all the trends. I just think it's important for you, to just do what feels aligned with you, because you don't want to contort yourself. I actually did a short video on this. Like, don't contort yourself to fit to the algorithm, any algorithm. But you do have to pay attention eventually to the algorithm. You're just not, twisting yourself all up and contorting yourself so that everything you do, you're trying to, get some massive views on YouTube or TikTok. But at the same time, there is an algorithm. We can't ignore it. We have to understand it. but we understand where do we fit in that algorithm.
And that's where the branding comes in.
Mm-hmm.
We can use short form video as a test bed for being on camera.
Yeah.
And right, because in fact, that the short form video was one of the reasons why our YouTube channel accelerated in getting monetized, because our short form videos were popping up, and then people would come and subscribe to see what else is there. So
Nice.
TikTok, Reels, Shorts, all these platforms have short form video now.
Yep. Yeah. They're all
There's a
trying to
reason for
compete
that.
with one another. So
Yeah.
we can't really ignore it anymore. And
Yeah.
I tried. I was like, nope, not really into that short form stuff. I mean, I definitely, up until a few years ago, I believed in short being, 3 to 4 minutes. But now we're in like a whole other era where short can mean 10 seconds, like, and I aim for usually around a minute, like 30 seconds to a minute for short videos now. It's always going to change and evolve. And like you said, we just have to make sure we're aligned. If we start to do things just to follow trends and, just to copycat and keep up with everybody else, then we start to be like, oh, it's like an identity crisis at a certain point. You're like, oh, this influencer person isn't even me.
I think you nailed it with, just be yourself. That's the only trend to follow, is to honor your own brand and how you deliver your message and your info for what you do, and why people should pay attention to you without it being, like viral kind of. But where can people find you, Sarah? Tell us all the places.
Sure. So I'm on my YouTube channel at Blue Lotus Films. That's the handle on YouTube. And then I'm also on Instagram as Sarah M as in May Fisher, and TikTok as well. And then
your website.
And my website is bluelotusfilms.net. So those are the main places, providing a lot of valuable information, not only about video production, but video marketing. Both are important in this day and age. So I like to teach people, simple tools they can use to make their videos, but then also advice like we've shared about of, how to make the best use of their video marketing. And I'm very much into, we didn't dive into it here, but I have a lot of tips on storytelling, because I think story is really big and important in not only in longer form, but definitely in short form videos as well.
It's so hard to feel like you can get a story in less than a minute. So how does one do that?
Storytelling for short videos is very possible. You're going to basically condense a story and just to a few bullet points. This is really helpful. It's actually a really good practice to tell your brand story in particular, like the story of why you founded your business, why you do what you do. It's a really good practice, because often when you think, oh, I'm going to put my story on video, I've worked with clients, where we have to cut down what they want it to be a 10-minute video. And I absolutely know and recommend to them, like, people aren't going to watch that. They're not going to watch a whole 10-minute video. I mean, most people won't. And so when you're just introducing yourself and your business, one of the best ways to do it is with a story. And so if you can get in that practice of just doing it in a 1 minute, 90 seconds, it's really, really helpful to, hone in and reach that target market with, why you do what you do, what makes you unique.
You have to practice with it, because then it just generates ideas, I have found anyway. But the hardest part, I don't know if this is like the theme of the conversation, the hardest part is starting. Just like with anything, it's a learning curve. But
yeah,
I think once you start practicing, you'll find that it becomes easier and easier, because you get more acquainted with that brand messaging that you have to work on from the beginning.
Right? Yep, so true.
I cannot thank you enough for your time and your spirit. You're so friendly and you're so kind on video to share what you're sharing to get people inspired to use video marketing for their small business.
Yeah, thanks for having me. It's super fun to chat with you.